Or what's going on, guys? So today is Thursday, and of course, in the market yesterday, some moves with the meme stock as we expected. However, right now the meme stocks are not really doing as much. I think. Right now, GameStop is down 3%, AMC is down 1%, and such. So yeah, meme stock might not be doing that big of a move today. But we'll see how it goes, okay? Because especially when we are heading towards Friday, I think Friday is going to be a big pointer because there are a lot of people who play short-term call options, especially for the meme stocks. Even for myself, I did it before, but not for this time. I am a little bit more cautious about getting into meme stock, especially for the short-term calls. And of course, right now in the market, there's not really much news going on, which is very, very surprising. I just got back, and yeah, there's surprisingly very, very little news going on. But anyway, nevertheless, let's go some news today. All right, let's start with something simple. The stock futures rise. A Russian stock market partially reopens. Let me just go towards this one first, because this basically is talk about the same thing. All right, so Russia puts floor under stock market sell-off as trading resumes, which is very, very smart because for what we know about the MOEX, which is the Moscow exchange, very smart for them to actually shut down the entire trading system simply because people cannot really panic during this whole situation where Russia is doing the whole invasion of Ukraine. And, currently they are trying to get the market back up for people to start trading again. MOEX is up 4.9% as of earlier, I think about 5 hours ago. And it's not really super duper good either because what they actually did by doing that, by keeping the MOEX open, they are actually preventing some form of a rug pull. Very, very smart by the leaders. But of course, this simply means that this is a very, very rigged system. Okay, so over here, you can kind of see the benchmark fallen 30% in February before the suspension of the trading from Feb 28. We already understand that. Okay, that's cool and all. Okay, but what's very, very interesting is over here. Moscow resumed shortened 4-hour trading in 33 out of the 50 equities listed on the benchmark. So basically, they are trying to ensure that there's not going to be a lot of rug pulling, not a lot of volatility trading will be happening in the MOEX. I'm not sure if this is the right move. I'm not going to lie, simply because, like I said before, I have never been in a war. I've never thought about it from a war leader perspective or anything of that nature. So I'm not sure if Moscow is doing the right thing here. I'm not sure if Putin is doing the right thing here. But of course, that is kind of helping the market a little bit because, of course, with more trading happening, it's going to eventually be helping with all the other global numbers as well. All right, so anyway, over here, let's look at this. The contracts for the tech-focused NASDAQ 100 rose 0.7%. Okay, investors grappled with how Russia's war with Ukraine will put additional pressure on supply chains. They are already disrupted from COVID-19. Oil prices, which remain above $100 a barrel. And also, FYI, although it's not Friday, I'm just giving you guys a little bit of a sneak peek of what I actually traded. Okay, so yesterday I bought more Futu puts, which is working out pretty well. I'm already okay. To be fair, I was down about 30% or so. Now I'm down about like 10% or so because I managed to actually dollar cost average in as well on some of my positions and such. I bought more puts on Occidental Petroleum. Same thing. I'm not very worried about those puts simply because those contracts expire next year. So looking forward for that. Those are just some of the trades that I did. If you want to know more of my trades, just stay tuned for tomorrow's news covering. Anyway, let's go back to higher prices for energy and even products like plastic wrap or lawn fertilizer. Federal Reserve officials have penciled in a series of additional interest rate increase to limit inflation this year. Honestly speaking, we already expected this. So, of course, this is just a basic news coverage, nothing crazy. All right. Now, let's get back to a little bit of the the China Eastern Airline crash in the Boeing 737. All right, the former Boeing pilot found out guilty in 737 MAX criminal trial. Of course, this is not the same thing, but of course, right now they are just bringing this up because it kind of makes sense since it's the same flight as well. Just it's the same type of plane, just different flight. But yeah, this whole thing is the one. I think this was for the Texas one. I think. Let's see. A jury found a former Boeing pilot not guilty of deceiving air safety regulator about a 737 MAX flight control system, later blamed for 2 fatal crashes. So yeah, kind of, yeah, a little bit suspicious, not gonna lie. Let's see what is Boeing doing after this kind of news. I think it's gonna be interesting. Boeing is BA. Okay, surprisingly, Boeing's up 0.35%. I don't know. A little bit suspicious if you ask me. So yeah, we'll see how it goes with Boeing later on anyway. But yeah, okay, in terms of the Chinese fatal crash, as of now, there still isn't any sort of updates that came about. Of course, that they did say about the whole suspected engine found and such, because they, okay, yesterday we reported about the first black box being found, but there are 2 black boxes in your Boeing 737, which is why they are trying to find the second one. So yeah, the rescuer finds the suspected engine, hunts for second black box. Okay, similar thing. Okay, we do not have any sort of clues, no signs of survivor. Okay, only found one of the black box. The other black box is still unfound. Yeah, the first one believed to be the cockpit voice recorder. Okay, yeah. So, like I said before, like we still do not really have a lot of information on this whole situation, and of course, below is just a lot of the families mourning over the losses and such, which I don't really want to get into as much. But yeah, anyway, let's move on to the next one, which is Mark Zuckerberg and Meta leadership take remote work to the extreme. I do think that they are going to be talking about working in the metaverse. I think so. As more companies begin their return to the office, Facebook parent Meta Platforms is becoming more remote than ever. Okay, Mark Zuckerberg is scattering to locations far from his Silicon Valley headquarters in an extreme test of the limits of remote work. Huh. Hold on. Okay. Let's see. Naomi Gliad, the company head of product and one of his longest tenured employee, has relocated to New York. The CMO plans to move to the UK. The vice president of integrity, what? I don't know, as such a position. Okay, will be moving to Israel in the near future. Okay, Javier Olivan, which is the chief growth officer, is going to be between California and Europe, but he planned to spend more time abroad. Okay, never mind. I thought that this was going to be some sort of like a metaverse kind of thing where they say, oh yeah, we're going to be working from the metaverse and such. Apparently not. Kind of surprising, I guess. I'm not going to lie. When you hear about meta platforms, the first thing that comes to mind is usually, oh, okay, they're getting to metaverse again. They want to try to breach what we have right now with the metaverse. And of course, like I said before, okay, I'm not against metaverse or anything. I just said it before, and I'll say it again. Okay, metaverse is way too early. I do think that we are way too early in this process at the moment. I do see metaverse as something that we will be getting into, say, 20, 30 years from now. Of course, if we actually deploy Elon Musk sort of a logical thinking into this, if we expect ourselves to do it in the next 20 to 30 years, it will come by in the next 2 to 3 or 4 to 5. And even if you're not there, you're going to be way further along as compared to you not actually doing it. And I get that. Okay, I get that and all. But, for meta platforms to really do this at this extent, the last earning report, they actually reported $10 billion in terms of R&D losses, basically, into research and development for the entire metaverse and such. I'm not sure how much more are they going to be doing towards the whole metaverse side of things. I'm not saying that metaverse is not properly constructed yet either. I do think that the biggest challenge for metaverse is going to be the transitioning from real life over to the metaverse and such. Of course, like I said before, it's not going to be a very hard move simply because we are already so glued to our computer, so glued to our phone and such on a daily basis. So it just makes sense that this would be the right step forward. Even if it's not the right step forward, it will be the step forward. So yeah, I'm not sure what this would be doing for the very, very near future. But yeah, over here it's the same thing. Okay, a declining user base and continuing impact to the company's advertising business from privacy changes to Apple's iOS that Meta said it expect to cost the company some $10 billion this year. So yeah, I'm not sure if this is going to be good for Meta, especially with like even in the article. Okay, they're talking about how Instagram. Okay, because inside Meta platform in the whole entire basket they have Instagram, they have WhatsApp, and they have Facebook. Right now, all of them are trying to get into Reels, okay, which is something that TikTok is already doing very, very well, clearly. So if TikTok is so dominant in that whole area, Instagram and Facebook will eventually start to kind of subside. And that's the main concern, because for Instagram and Facebook, they are one of the biggest ad revenue making machine in the entire Meta platform's umbrella. So it makes sense for these two companies to these two different platforms to work extra hard. But of course, this currently is being affected by the whole Apple privacy issue that I actually brought up, I think, about 2 months ago. I did actually brought it up again, I think a few weeks back. But something that's going to be interesting, that's going to be connected to this, which I would like to talk about a little bit more, is over here. Google will allow Spotify to offer its own billing on Android. Okay, so no, why is this so important? Okay, the reason why this is so important to me is because Google allowing Spotify to offer its own billing on Android is literally a slap on Apple's face for the whole Epic Games saga. Okay, so for people who are unaware, Apple and Epic's game went through this whole entire hoo-ha, where basically Epic Games wants to have their own billing software, and Apple will not allow it because Apple basically get a cut off from every single transaction, and by Epic Games doing whatever it is, they're actually taking a huge cut away from Apple, and Apple didn't want to allow that, and Apple just basically said, if you do not want, it, just get someone else then, which Apple have all the rights to do so. Of course, there's going to be a lot of legal battles for that, which has already happened. Okay. But what Google basically allowed Spotify to do over here changed the entire game, because now this is going to be a long-lasting case, a long-standing case to say, yeah, because Google allows it, we'll just go towards Google. Okay, so gaming companies are basically going to go towards Google and ask for their own billing platforms on Android, where it's going to be subservient from all the other platforms that's being interlinked. Would be your Android, be your iOS and such. You don't have to follow the Play Store, you don't have to follow the App Store. Great. For the company, it's great. But for Google and for Apple, it's not going to be as good. Okay. And of course, there's going to be a lot of things that's going to be brought up from this as well. Especially, I can assure you, in the next 2 weeks or so, Epic Games is going to come up with some form of a legal battle against Apple again. Something along that line. Okay, I'm just giving out my own prediction for this. But this is very, very interesting. For this simple move alone, I'm not even kidding, okay? The move is the most significant concession so far from a major mobile app store to allow third-party billing system inside apps. Okay? Google and Apple do not usually do this. Okay, the moment they do this, they're basically giving the power back to the creators, and they, as the so-called like the third party or the middleman between the creators and the consumers, they are getting their cut taken out of it. I'm not sure if Spotify is going to be doing some form of a reimbursement towards for Google for doing this billing platform or whatnot, but I do think that this is going to be a very, very interesting move by Google. I'm not sure if it's going to be good or for the worse, but it's very, very interesting for us to really look into this. All right, so same thing. Okay, said on Wednesday that a future version of the Spotify app will allow user to sign up inside the app to pay Spotify directly for a subscription. The alternative billing system will be offered in addition to Google Play payments. Let's see. Historically, on Google Pay as well as Apple App Store, developers usually can't solicit credit card numbers directly from their customers to bill them for digital goods or services. Instead, they have to bill users through Google system, which take at least 15% and as much as 30% of total sales. The caveats: Google announcement on the Wednesday calls the move a pilot and doesn't offer a timeline for wide implementation or specify which country will first get the feature. The announcement suggested that only a small number of app makers will be allowed to offer their own billings to start. So the reason why, okay, and if people do not understand why Spotify is going to be going up in the aftermarkets when this was actually being announced, is because if Google is not going to be taking at least 15% off their entire margin, this whole 15% is going to be purely going back into Spotify alone. And just that sheer amount of a 15% back into Spotify is going to allow their earnings to go up by at least 15%. At least 15%. Their earnings alone. Because right now we have to accept that this 15% is basically a pure loss, because they have to kind of give it in terms of a cost over to Google. But right now with this 15% back into the company, they can either do more R&D, they can either get more artists, they can get more podcasts going on in Spotify, which is going to be very, very interesting. However, something that I do think that is going to be a little bit harder for people to really get through is also because even though they are getting this 15%, they will also have they also get into a higher tax bracket in terms of the commercial taxes and such. Of course, this would also, well, I'm not worried about, corporate tax and such, simply because they're able to always dodge it somehow. But yeah, I do think that this is very, very important for them to actually do such a move. And I think that Google actually did it very, very smartly as well. Over here, when they basically just said, it doesn't offer a timeline for wide implementation or specify which country will first get the feature. It suggested that only a small amount of app makers will be allowed to offer their own billings, which is so smart for them to do so. So they are just saying that, we're just trying this out. Okay, we're not sure if this is going to work out. We're just trying this out. Spotify might be the only company to ever do it. We don't know. And I think that Google is very smart about doing so. This will also help Alphabet a little bit, of course. Yeah, well, not really, I guess. In the after hours, Alphabet didn't really go up much. But of course, in the pre-market, it's up about 0.6% or so right now. So I don't know. Hopefully, we do see some of a price movement in Google later on in the day. This pilot will allow a small number of participating developers to offer an additional billing option next to Google Play billing system, and it's designed to help us explore ways to offer this choice to users while maintaining our ability to invest in the ecosystem. Spotify will still pay a fee to Google for payments it processes on its own, Google confirmed. Google said that it would build on a policy that is introduced in South Korea, where it continues to take an 11% fee on subscription purchases made through alternative billing, which became required by a recent law passed in the country. So I'm right. It makes sense for Google to be like, all right, you know what? If you do not want us to immediately take however much of a percentage from you guys just give us a flat fee. Okay, so like for example, Spotify might have to pay Google like $2 million every single year or whatnot around that. Like, I'm not sure about the figures, but like, it can basically just be like, all right, Spotify, you have to pay me $2 million every single year, or like $5 million every single year. And that's going to be building upon on this whole handling your own processes and via using my ecosystem and using your billing system. So it's very, very smart for Google to do so. They can kind of get just a flat fee kind of thing. Kind of work out for Google as well, because if they were to actually get the numbers right, eventually over time, if people start to not use Spotify and they move over to other musical apps or whatever it is, Spotify will still have to pay the same amount because it's now a flat rate instead of going via a percentage base. So this would only be a good idea if we're actually going into some form of a R word. So I don't want to say it, but yeah, I'm not sure what is Google really thinking about here. It is possible that Google is being bearish about it. Google might be worried about the market upcoming situation, and because of that, they are trying to kind of handle as much immediate down payment by various companies to use their ecosystem and using their own billing system. That way, they can actually get a lot of liquid cash upfront, and this will kind of reduce cash burns in general. So I do think that Google is doing something that we do not know about. Okay, there's something that we are not 100% in the know about. So I'm not sure about what Google is doing here. Okay, Apple fought against a lawsuit with Epic Games currently being appealed. Like I said, man, if you're going to be talking about this whole billing system, Epic Games is going to be showing up without a doubt. Okay, Spotify is one of the most important companies to publicly criticize Apple and its App Store policy that take a cut of recurring subscription. He has filed complaints with the European Union, and last year a Spotify official told Congress that the fees that it pays to Apple are unfair because Apple doesn't pay the same fees for its own Apple Music service. I don't know, man. I think that the last part kind of just don't make sense. It's like you're saying that like their own company do not pay their own company enough. Hey, man. I don't know. I don't know. Okay, anyway, G7 to warn Putin against using chemical or nuclear weapons. Back to the whole nuclear debate. But of course, this is with the whole G7 leaders behind this entire situation as well. Continue to impose severe consequences on Russia by fully implementing the sanctions that countries have already imposed and stand ready to apply additional measures. Actions by the Central Bank of Russia, according to the draft statement obtained by Bloomberg. Okay, cool. All right, the White House to seek a $813.3 billion national security budget. For this one, I'm not going to be going through it with you guys today, simply because I want to really go through the budget properly before I actually talk more about it. I'm very, very interested in the budget for me to actually understand what they're going to be doing with the budget as well. All right, now for the last piece of news for today, even though I said that there's not going to be a lot of news, it's already 22 minutes, so I'm sorry, okay? Omicron, stealth variant BA2, which is the subvariant, BA2 subvariant, spreading rapidly in China. Mainland China battle its worst COVID-19 outbreak since early 2020. Local government increasingly say the new Omicron BA2 subvariant is to blame. 1,000 new confirmed cases a day, holding above 2,000 for the last 3 days. Despite apparent changes in the virus severity, China has maintained its stringent zero COVID policy of using swift regional lockdowns to control outbreaks. Pretty cool, okay? They are doing a very, very good job for that. All right, so let's talk about the Omicron BA2 subvariant. It's basically everything that Omicron is, as it is, but right now it just it just becomes a lot more transmissible. But of course, I do not think that it is more fatal in any case or form. I don't think that there's a higher severity rate for the Omicron BA2 subvariant. However, the transmissibility rate is a lot higher. Even for myself, I do think that there is a good chance that I have gotten COVID. I'm not sure. Even until today, I'm still not tested positive when all my friends are. So I don't know. Like even both my parents had it and I haven't. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Okay. From the northern province of Jilin, I think, which accounts for more than half of the new daily cases to industrial centers like Tangshan and Shenzhen. Local authorities have blamed Omicron BA2 for the latest wave of COVID. So yeah, I do think that this is essentially considered as the next variant as it is. The only reason why they are keeping it as Omicron is simply because we do not want to really scare the entire market into thinking that, we are going to be getting something that's going to be worse than Omicron. We're going to be getting Pi variant and such. And of course, even for Pi variant itself, we are already expecting Pi variant to be something even way worse than Omicron. It's going to be like, even for the WHO, they also said that, what they expect from Pi variant is possibly going to be something that's going to be as severe as the Delta variant, and going to be as transmissible as the Omicron variant. And that's kind of the reason why people are kind of worried as well. And they kind of want to rename this as the Pi variant, because that's going to bring up a lot of panics, like what Delta actually did to the entire global scale of things. But yeah, the BA2 subvariant, pretty interesting. I'm not sure if it's going to be affecting the whole world on a different scale or whatnot. But of course, even today, Singapore actually announced that there's going to be a lot of easing of the COVID measures and such as having more people being able to dine in, and then also having people allowed to actually go out without mask. And of course, mask is still going to be compulsory indoors, but in the for outdoors activity and just outdoors in general, it's going to be an optional thing for you to actually wear a mask. So that's going to be interesting. So easing of COVID measures. That's going to be helping global markets as well. And of course, there's also easing on traveling into and out of Singapore. So that's going to be helping with your airlines. That's going to be helping with hospitality and such. So yeah, pretty cool. I do think that people are really starting to learn to live with COVID. Of course, this has been a long 3 years fight for people like you and I, especially you and I. Probably if you are watching this, my audience are all about 20 to 28-ish. Yeah, so I don't think that there's going to be much of an issue for you guys. It's just that, we kind of wasted our prime ages stuck indoors, stuck in our own country when we should be out traveling and such. But, let's hope COVID can go away as soon as it can. Right? That's all I have for today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys